Hey, welcome to Amber in the Kitchen. Today we're going to be talking about pasta, homemade pasta. It's really fun and easy to do, and I wanted to encourage you guys to do some at home. You don't need any special equipment. It's very hands-on and very doable without anything other than a rolling pin. And really, technically, you don't even have to have that because you can use a bottle of wine. If you have a bottle, any hard glass bottle will do. Just if you want something cylindrical that will roll and is uniform in circumference. Anyways, the reason why I wanted to do pasta with you today, what gave me the idea, was I was poking around YouTube the other day, and I saw Jamie Oliver, and he did his pasta at home with his son, but he has this really nice pasta machine. I used to have a pasta machine, but then I got married, and over the many, many moves that my husband and I have made, it has been thinned out. So I no longer have a pasta machine. So I thought it would be a great thing to do to show you guys how to make pasta without a pasta machine. All right, now we're gonna come over here. Shoop. Okay, so I am going to use my KitchenAid with my dough hook. Speaking of which, my dough hook is, hold on, it's over here. It's right here. Ta-da! All right, dough hook in. Now you can get fancy with pasta if you want to use the durum wheat semolina flour. Mix in with regular wheat flour. I am not going to get fancy today, but again, we're going with easy stuff here, okay? We don't need to get fancy in the kitchen. You're going to take a scant cup of flour. Okay, so just about a cup. Pasta can be quite forgiving. If you put too much flour to the egg, you can always add a little bit of water or even oil to thin it out. I am going to do a double batch today. That's probably about good right there. And then you just kind of spread your flour around a little bit, kind of like it's called making a well in the middle of the flour. Now you can do this by hand in like a shallow dish and just mix it with your fingers, and it's kind of reminiscent of playing around with Play-Doh as a kid. Okay, so we're going to crack our egg in. 1 egg, 2 eggs. This is a really basic recipe. It's a cup of flour to 1 egg. Gonna let it go. You don't have to have a KitchenAid to do this. Like I said, you can also use a food processor and just pulse it until it gets to where you want it to be. And again, just your hands work fine. No special equipment required. All right. I'm actually going to speed this process up a bit by putting the flour from the sides kind of more into the egg. So when we are mixing our dough for pasta, it's going to get really dry and pliable. It'll feel like a firm Play-Doh when you're done. And then when we're done mixing this, it's going to need to rest for about a half an hour. You don't have to be precise about that, but about a half an hour before you start to roll it out. Okay, and this is a little bit of a process. I think, you know what? This this is not that messy anymore, I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys how to do it manually as well, just so we can get our fingers a little dirty. It's nice. Okay. And they will get dirty. So sticky. But that's okay. So right now, this is called like a shaggy. I don't know. So you just keep mixing it, kneading it really. So just how we kneaded our bread from my last video series on bread, we're going to knead the pasta dough. You can do this in the bowl, but it's actually probably easier to do on a cutting board or a clean countertop. If I was doing this not for video purposes, I would probably do it on the counter. Just make sure you clean your counter really thoroughly. Dough, when you knead dough, it picks up anything and everything on your counter. So just be really cautious with that. Okay, and you can see this is starting to come together nicely. It kind of pops through. Okay, we still have quite a bit of flour left in here. Don't be too hasty with adding liquid to pasta. You want to really only do it if you have to. And this is going to feel or seem like it is not going to take up any more flour, but it will. If you have a kitchen scale, it's actually 100 grams of flour for every egg. Not cups, but because I'm an American, and I figure most of my viewers are going to be American, I'm dealing with cups. I don't know. If you guys want, I guess I could link up a good food scale and maybe the food processor or something for you guys to make this faster process at home. And pasta is one of those things where you could just kind of knead it forever. So if you've had like a stressful day, just make some pasta or some bread and get some of that aggression out. Okay. I'm going to probably go ahead and pause this video and do some TV magic for you guys, because I don't want you to be bored watching me do all this pasta. So be right back. All right, guys. TV magic. Ta-da! So this dough is a little bit on the dry side. So maybe do a little less of a scant or a little more of a scant than I did on your measuring cup. In all honesty, probably 3/4 of a properly measured cup would get you closer to where you want to be on this. But I wanted to give you guys a quick look at how much water are you going to add at a time if you have too much flour, like I do. You don't really want to pour water on, so I would probably do no more than a teaspoon of water at a time. So I'm just going to put a little bit on there at a time and then fold that wet spot into the middle of my dough. Okay. Another way you could do that would be to just dip your hands in the water. That will get you there eventually without having to be worried about putting too much water. Okay, so we have almost got all this flour incorporated into our dough. So just fold it and smash with the heel of your hand. And kind of like push down and forward. So you're like rolling and flattening. Okay. Now, if we had used some semolina flour in this dough, we would have more of a yellow color. But since we just used all-purpose flour, it's more pale, which is fine. You can get kind of snobby with your pasta real fast. But there's multiple recipes out there. This is just a really basic, easy one. And I will show you in another part how to roll this out nicely and how to cut it into strands easily. I would love to show you how to laminate dough, pasta dough, but I don't think I will be able to get it thin enough, easily enough by hand. But I want to talk to you about laminating your dough. It's really pretty. You can put like whole pieces of herb in between layers of dough, and then you roll it out, usually with a pasta machine. And it's just really pretty and flavorful, because the herbs do add a flavorful component to each bite, as long as the herb is in that bite. But this is pretty well done, guys. Okay, so right now you can see, I'll pull it up closer for you guys. It looks kind of similar to our bread dough, except this is much more dense. There is no yeast action, there's no baking soda or baking powder, there's nothing in here to leaven it. It is super dense, but it's got some stretch to it and some give. But right now, after working with it so much, you want to let this dough rest. And the reason why is because you've activated the gluten in the wheat dough, or wheat flour, excuse me. And they are chomping at the bit right now. They are holding on. They are tight. So we want them to relax and loosen up before we go and try to roll them out, because this will not give. This would be almost impossible to roll out right now, even with a bread machine. So we don't want this to dry out. So we're going to get some plastic wrap, and we are going to wrap it and set the timer for 30 minutes. Okay, now if you had to make your dough in a hurry for some reason, you could do that and wait less than a half an hour. But the recommended wait time is a half an hour to let that just do nothing but sit there on the counter. All right, I will give you guys a part 2 when this is done resting. I'll show you how to roll it out and cut it and keep it from sticking to each other. And then I don't know if you guys want to see it cooked or not. I don't know. I'll kind of leave that up to a last minute decision on my part, I guess. We might have a part 2 and 3, or just a part 2. All right. Have a good day, you guys. And I hope you're enjoying learning how to make pasta with Amber in the kitchen.